dead f***ing last.
Are we weird?
Where could we possibly be going without a truck and a trailer? Welcome back to Let's Go Grassroots. We're doing something a little bit different this time. Everything I know about driving started right here on this asphalt. It's time to go grassroots with Let's Go Grassroots Karting Edition. I prefer to drive the M3. It's a little bigger, it's got more grunt, but a go-kart is incredible, and it's where I started. And this is gonna be the first weekend in 15 years that I have raced a kart. The race this weekend is called Summerfest, and it is the biggest race they do annually. It's a 2-day race weekend with some night action tomorrow night, and then we get into the finals, and I think there's 5 races overall. It's a bit like AMP in that it's not much. We can't run 2-stroke, we can't run road tax. It's just not enough track. But it's a good little track. It's got some very technical sections, and it altogether is a lap of about 25 seconds in the senior class. Here we are, the starting point for all motorsports, the kart track, East Coast Karting in Moncton, New Brunswick. The start-finish line behind me is where, at about the tender age of 8, I took my first green flag, checkered flag, and probably about 28 black flags. We don't need to talk about those, but not much has changed. This is how I remember it. This is the exact Moncton track that made me fall in love with 4 wheels and an engine, sliding around underneath me, learning how to get close to people. This was the entry point to motorsports, just as it is for most pro drivers today. Every single Formula 1 driver started in karting. Most guys in GT racing, Formula 2, Formula 3, all those guys coming through the feeders, they started in karting. It teaches you so much about car control. There's no suspension, no ABS, there's nothing forgiving. It's raw, it's direct, it's so much fun. This is Gerald. He's the one that's hooking us up with the kart. Gerald Casely is kind of in charge here now, and he's produced 7, if I'm not mistaken, national champions in the 4-stroke classes, which is remarkable because back when I raced here, we were just a speck on the karting map in Canada, and people didn't take us very seriously. Here's all the rental karts, which are all quiet today given the weather. Here's one of the Junior Briggs karts. This is a Ricciardo, so it's a Burrell with the Ricciardo branding. But here's us for the weekend. The CRG, which coincidentally, the last kart that I ever drove was a PTK, and PTK was Paul Tracy kart, which was a Canadian division of CRG. So it's kind of going full circle completely 15 years later. And not a lot has changed. I have to say, not a lot has actually changed on these. Same hub setup. This is a little different. We didn't run a front torsion bar on our karts. I hope torsion bar is the right word for all you karters. They've added these lovely little foot plates, which I may have to adjust on this one to get comfortable with. Seats are much nicer. They've got some more Kevlar reinforcement. The Briggs is basically the same thing, same exhaust, same intake system, carburetor, even the same circular look. I mean, this is not far off what we were racing 15 years ago. I'm genuinely curious to see how I'm gonna do. I think we're probably gonna get our asses kicked. But that's okay, because I'm gonna have fun relearning how to apply myself in karting. UK, you've got tons of tracks. Europe, tons of tracks. Canada, we've got a good amount of tracks for karting as well. Karting is the first point of access for anyone who wants raw racing. It's pouring, and I'm staying on these guys. I'm staying on some slicks. So we're gonna go slide around and I think have a hell of a time doing it. Yeah, I felt like a bit of a rookie out there on slicks in the rain. It was just me on track. Locked up and spun a few times. We elected not to tether the GoPros this evening. We thought we'd get away with it. And I completely destroyed my Hero 7. I also cracked the screen on my GoPro 5. The weather didn't really comply to allow me to get a good feel for the kart, but the muscle memory was kind of there. I had some decent inputs. It was very sideways at times, but I'm hoping in the dry it's going to be like riding a bike. If I can get within 3/10 of the fast guys tomorrow, I'll be very pleased with that. We're about to head off again to head back to Moncton, about another hour drive. But today I've also got a little secret weapon. Someone who understands racing and strategy better than anyone else in the world. Jaden, you ready to go for a drive? You ready to go for a drive? You coming to the track again? You making your return? Why are you so camera shy lately, huh? Come on, let's go. Come on, let's go. What is that? I'm not paying you enough or something? Come on, come on, come on. Oh, there she is. Now she's happy. High five? High five? High five? Good girl. All right, let's go. Okay, here we are. Right now, rentals are on track, so we don't have a lot of track time, but we're gonna do some setup stuff. Jaden is gonna go do her rounds, aren't you, girl? Huh? Weather looks a lot better. It's quite a bit warmer here than we were at home. Everything's already out. James's cart's pulled, mine's out, ready to go. We're gonna throw some new tires on it for today. We are gonna mount the GoPros properly, tether them properly, so we don't have to go buy another one of these, right? Huh? Right? Because it's a 2-day event, this is actually really cool. So they do inverse grids, but tonight we run clockwise, and tomorrow we run counterclockwise, which is the way that I was more familiar with racing it back in the day. So that'll be good to do that one second, because this one I'm not gonna know the exit point on one that's gonna give the 4-stroke inertia and momentum, because that's basically what they are, is momentum cars, or karts, I should say. So suit up the cart, get the GoPros mounted up, change the tires. I may do some adjustments to the front end. I need to be filming all of this. All right, wheels are off. Boys in the shop are gonna go ahead and change those for you guys, or for me, I guess, for both of us, for whoever. This is pretty straightforward, still the same hub. They do run a front hub now, as well as the rear hub. We used to run a slightly different system for the front, but pretty straightforward. Jaden's being typical center of attention, right?
Do you have a 7? Do you have a Hero 7?
Yeah. Yeah, the hyper smooth.
You might be able to put it here.
Yeah.
Drill through.
Yeah.
Steel wire your zip ties down. Stick the mount on. And then, do you have a sticky mount one right here?
Not right here, but yeah, I know what you mean. So then you just put it
through
yeah.
around.
Yeah, that's smart.
And you can zip tie it down.
Yeah. Does that look flat? Like level?
Right there, I'd say.
Nice. All right, let's get that in. That'll work. It'll get some of the exhaust, but that's okay. We've got GoPros. This one is mounted, screwed in. That's not gonna go anywhere. This will still vibrate, but hopefully the 7 will take that out. I will have this guy on my head a little bit. And then we've got the rear facing, which is all zip tied in, so it can't, well, hopefully can't, I don't think it can, go anywhere. So that'll be the rear facing. As you can see by some of the shots that we've already had, there's so much young talent here, and everyone's super friendly, super excited to have us here for Let's Go Grassroots, and also very helpful. So just like at AMP, it's very much a community. This is Owen. Owen, how old are you?
13.
Owen's 13. How long have you raced?
I've been racing for 5 years.
5 years already. See, karting is literally when it starts. That means you started at 8. So I started about 9. So he started before I even did. And Owen was a bro and helped me do all the GoPros because he knows all this stuff inside and out. So you're racing in the junior class, I assume?
Yeah, I'll be racing juniors.
How are you doing this year?
We've had a pretty good year.
That's
I was
cool.
Champion last year of juniors, so.
I never was champion, you know that? The year that I would have won the championship, we got in a crash on the way. Like the guy that was driving our trailer crashed the trailer and it ruined my kart. So I never got to finish the year. Yeah, so the new Vegas are on. James knows the kart, he raced it last year, so I'm just gonna copy his setup the whole weekend. Maybe steal his parts as well, we'll see. Kelsey's in my class, she's back there, she's on Burrell. She's been in the podium several times at Nationals, and probably will lead the class along with Aaron Kennedy. I used to race against this guy like way back 15 years ago, yeah. So that'll
we ran into each other in autocross a few years ago.
Yep, that's right, yep. And now we'll get back in and resume it. How are you, Mr. Mead?
Good, how are you?
Good to see you, I'm great, yeah. Jaden's doing her calming tactics to make sure I'm ready to go on track, not too wound up, right?
Are we weird? Are we weird?
I think people think we're weird. It looks like we are gonna get some official practice, which is good because I need to focus on a few things. Here we go. Still driving too tight in the front. Woo! God, I forgot how violent these things are. Same thing as yesterday. I'm slow as f***. practice and drivers meeting done. I think it was misleading to have the confidence I did. I am DFL, which stands for dead f***ing last. I'm about a second off the leader and probably about a half second off where I'd like to be. My inputs are a little bit aggressive. I think I'm trying to go full car racing on them, and I don't need to be. I need to settle that down. But yeah, we go into qualifying, 5-minute qualifying session, which is about 10 laps because it's 20, well, my pace, 26.5 seconds, but 25.5 seconds a lap. Dad has decided to show up and help out, go back to the way we started. This is what it was like 21 years ago. I'm equally as clueless, and he's trying to do all the work.
And I'm trying to remember it all because it's been a long time and the technology's changed.
All right, qualifying done. Where'd you finish?
Fourth.
Fourth, missed Super Bowl by 1.
I know.
I was dead last, but I at least got a half second out of it. I'm still really loose and killing my speed out of the corners. Kelsey drove straight by me out of turn 1. I'm losing all my time in this corner and the tight one in the middle. Everywhere else, like into 3, I actually kept it like this far off Kelsey. And then we hit corner 2 and it was like, okay, see ya. If I could stop sliding and stay smooth, I would be there, but.
Yeah. You probably technically have a good line, it's just.
But I don't, because I'm sliding off of it.
The track, yeah.
Yes.
You gotta get a feel for the track.
If I had like 6 or 7 more practice sessions, I think I could get there, but.
Yeah.
Well, I start pole at least.
Yeah, that's
Because we do the reverse grid, so.
Half a second from practice to qualifying.
Yes.
I mean, that's good news for your next session. Another half second, you'll be right up there.
All right, well, let's go watch the cadets start. These guys are under 10. These guys are super young. Look at them go. I love it. I love how small they are in the karts. This is what I was talking about. This is where it all starts. This is where Norris, Hamilton, Alonso, all the good ones would have started when they were about that tall, which is absolutely insane.
Race 1. The reverse grid meant that my first karting race in 15 years would awkwardly, or rather embarrassingly, be started from pole position. Not having a functioning lap timer made it very hard to adapt to the small nuances that makes a kart fast. But after qualifying, it was very apparent that the kart was not handling the way that I'd wished. So we made some last-minute changes before the race in hopes to gain that additional speed. The rear of the kart was already at 50 inches, the maximum allowed for the senior class. Therefore, I had to narrow the front to try and balance the two. Starting from pole, however, meant that I was more worried about who was going to go by me, rather than settling into a rhythm and getting a feel for it. Perhaps, fortunately, I didn't have to worry long. I've never gone backwards in a race so fast in my entire life. Race 2 was not any better. I started on the pole again, but it didn't take long for everyone to make their way by. The kart felt better, and once I was on my own, I was able to settle in, but even still, my pace was not quite where it needed to be.
Jaden, how was today? Was it good? We were a little slow. Good to be back in a go-kart, I think. It was a lot of fun. My ribs are a little sore. I kind of forgot how violent they are. We did start in the first practice session from around a 26.7 to a 25.7 by the end of the night. So improvement was there. We were kind of 0.2 off the pace in the race, but the inconsistency, I think, was the biggest thing. And I couldn't get the back to settle down. I think just about everyone noticed that I was really aggressive. I'm so used to driving a car that I was just wrestling the kart in. We're gonna go to the hotel tonight. Jaden's gonna come with me. She's already sleeping apparently. And then we'll get some sleep and we'll be back here bright and early to try and sort out the last little 0.2 maybe. New day. I forgot how violent karts are. I am absolutely destroyed on my left rib side.
You're gonna hear me talk about my ribs a lot, It turns out I actually fractured 2 ribs just from driving the kart the day before, and I didn't actually confirm that until 5 weeks later.
Even if I don't get, too involved in the racing, that's okay. These guys are running a championship. As long as I'm in the freight train, as long as I'm not a sitting duck like I was in the first race yesterday, then I'll be okay with that. I have to say, these guys though, man, they're so competitive still. That class, I was 2/10 off and I was still the slowest lap time in the class. We're about 10 minutes down the road from the track. Jaden's here. Once the queen's ready, we'll hit the way. You're so stubborn in the morning. Morning, guys. How are ya? What's the schedule, James?
9 o'clock.
9 o'clock's practice? Okay, I thought it was 8 for some reason. So Jaden and I will go walk around for a minute. You coming for a walk? Yeah, you are. So today we go this direction, opposite of yesterday, which is good. This is the way that I know. I really need to focus on staying off throttle today. I was dragging the throttle a lot yesterday, and I think that was part of the reason I was unsettling the kart so much. It's not a car. There's such a low horsepower machine that it's all momentum. So the second you get sideways, you can just hear the engine onto the clutch and you just get nothing, and that's where you lose everything. This corner absolutely slaughtered me yesterday. This was where I was losing most of my time, this and the hairpin. So this is, yeah, we gotta tighten this up. Jaden's got the right line. I can barely breathe. My ribs are so sore, I'm having trouble getting deep breaths in. It's that stiff right now for me. Morning. My ribs are extremely sore. I can barely breathe in deep. It's true, but not used to it anymore.
Quickly, the proceedings were back underway. Practice led to final adjustments, and then it was time to go racing. I decided that in hopes I'd become more familiar with driving a kart again, to widen the front. But unfortunately, it resulted in the same poor handling from the day before, and we quickly reverted back to the narrower setup. Kelsey Hahn and Aaron Kennedy, both familiar with the podium at Nationals, would start first and second, with the second row being occupied by William Lowther and James Montgomery. Finally, for races 4 and 5, we took to the grid in the order that we actually qualified. While this meant for me starting further to the back, I actually looked at it in a positive way, because it would give me more time to find my rhythm rather than worrying about everyone freight training by me at the start. Foolishly, however, I got a little too keen. I missed my braking point going into the hairpin, which led to me punting Jared and stalling going down the front straight. These guys are racing for championship points, and the last thing that I wanted to do was interfere with that. Sorry, Jared.
Yeah, I won't lie, this is getting a bit silly. I'm getting a little embarrassed. This is not going how I at least thought it would. I've done everything I can as a driver. I know my inputs are a little rough still, but kart just hops. That rear axle is just way too stiff. Everything I'm doing, I cannot get it to settle. And unfortunately, I mean, it's 11 a.m. We've already done 3 races. We're rushing so much that me trying to film everything, it's almost impossible to adjust anything. I adjusted hubs last race. I fueled it, and I was in such a rush, I forgot to put the fuel cap back on. I went out, had to come through the pits. I made the start, but I didn't do one of the outlaps. At this point, I'm forfeiting any chance of a result. That's out the window. One final change. Nothing to lose, so. All right, last second change. We redid the hubs, narrowed it out. I was still about 1.5 inches wider than James, even with a half spacer because of the Rotax hubs, or whatever hubs these are in the E4s. This is it, this is the final. All right, here we go.
Anyone who's ever karted knows that it's all fun and games until the finals. But the finals are where the gloves come off. points available for the heats, they're really more about placement. And I, knowing this too, thought maybe I could sit back and take advantage of the inevitable carnage. With the setup changes proving to be extremely good, I kept my nose clean. That had to be the goal.
Single file, come around, we'll give you the green when you come back.
After the red flag restart, I found myself in a reasonably competitive 7th position in what had become the battle of attrition. Unfortunately for James, he became the next to drop out, with his chain becoming dislodged between turns 2 and 3. I began my pursuit on Jerry in an attempt to try and secure 5th place. And then... Having gathered things back up, I was just simply trying to finish the race and keep Kelsey potentially behind me. I left the door open for her, given her very vast pace in comparison to mine, but having resigned her efforts to the earlier mistakes, she made another one, trying to pass me at the hairpin. With luck on my side, I managed 5th place. And feeling a little bad for James, who'd done so much to help me throughout the weekend, I thought I'd give him a push back to the pit lane. Which then resulted in me needing a push from Aaron while on his victory lap. The race of the weekend was arguably the junior class, where in the final, Callum Baxter led for 19 of 20 laps before a DNF with 4 corners to go. This left GoPro expert Owen to pick up the win.
And finishing in 5th place is Matt Privet.
And then, perhaps most out of place, it was my turn to collect a trophy.
Oh God, stop rolling. There we go. There we have it. Karting done. That was, it was fun. It was physical. It certainly beat up the ribcage more than I remember. Certainly more than I'm used to these days. For the first time back in 15 years, it was okay. I think that I definitely should have narrowed the cart much sooner. The final cart finally came into its own. I started to feel like a bit of a driver again, that I could make adjustments to my driving, and I had more confidence in how the cart was going to go and how the cart was going to react. Tons of carnage. It was certainly a battle of attrition. That trophy I got for 5th place was probably the luckiest trophy I've ever gotten in my life. Bunch of contact off the opening lap, followed up by contact around lap 4. And then I tried to avoid contact. It was a bit of a bad situation, and unfortunately I just kind of ran out of talent in that moment, and I spun trying to avoid it, which ultimately let Jared get away again. Certainly after race 5, I was pretty frustrated with it, but it felt much better in the last race. In fact, so much so that I'm thinking I might need to come back and give it another go now that we've got a little more confidence in the cart. Overall, I hope you guys enjoyed it. They're extremely technical. They are extremely quick little machines, even with the limited horsepower of the 4-stroke and the Briggs. But they're so technical in how you have to drive them in terms of momentum, in terms of setup. From 8 years old to me at age 30, it's a ton of fun for everyone. So get out to your local kart track, check it out, and get involved, because it is probably one of the purest form of motorsports and probably the best form of competition. So give it a go. And thank you guys so much for joining us again for Let's Go Grassroots, the Let's Go Karting edition. And we'll see you again for the next episode.